Here we are taking a look at the payroll register and the check register for Pony Rides to Go. Note that it's already done for you. The week that it belongs to is shown to you at the top for week ending November 6th. So this will be used for your November 6th journal entry. All three of the employees are listed here along with their allowances, their beginning cumulative earnings, their current gross wages, their ending cumulative, which is the beginning cumulative plus the gross wages for this time equals the ending cumulative. Cumulative wages are a total of all the gross wages from January 1st to now. Here's your taxable earnings for unemployment to show how much of each person's gross wages is taxable for unemployment. So notice that Sally Sinclair has over $7,000 of cumulative wages, so the employer does not need to pay anything, any FUTA on her $300 of gross wages. None of it is taxable. For Derek and you, however, both of you have under $7,000 worth of cumulative wages, and so all of your $240 is taxable for FUTA and SUTA. And so we can add that up and we see that $480 is the total gross wages that's going to be taxable for unemployment. Over to the right are your various deductions. We have FWT, which is federal withholding tax. These are the taxes that we had to look in the Circular E, of which there's a couple of similar pages in your textbook, and we had to look these up based on whether they're married or single and based on how many allowances they're claiming. And we see that Sally is having $2 taken out for income taxes, Derek is having $22, and you are having $13. This next column is the SS, is the Social Security, and that was calculated at 6.2% times the gross wages. So Sally is $300 of gross wages times 6.2% is $18.60. For Medicare, which is the next column, it's 1.45% times gross wages. So Sally is $300 times 1.45%, which is $4.35. For the total deduction column, that is the federal income tax plus the Social Security plus the Medicare added together. So Sally is having $24.95 taken out of her check to pay for these various taxes that she owes. Then to get the net pay, we take the gross wages, the current earnings of $300 for Sally, minus the $24.95 her total deductions, and that tells us how much is her net pay. Okay, so she's going to get, we're going to write her a check for $275.05. And this is the check you were told in the narrative was number 2265. Okay, and we're going to write a check to Derek for $199.64, and we're going to write a check to yourself for $208.64. Okay, and the total net pay is $683.33. These are the totals you're going to use for your journal entry. So the total gross wages is $780. So you would be debiting wages expense for $780. The total deductions is $96.67. So you would be crediting payroll tax payable for that. And the total net pay is $683.33, so you would be crediting cash for that. In your explanation, you have to say that this is to record payroll for November 6th and it includes check numbers 2265 through 2267. Your second journal entry is the employer cost, which is also listed on the bottom of this payroll register. So the employer has to match the FICA, which is Social Security, and Medicare. So here's the total Social Security, $48.36. Here's the Medicare, $11.31. And notice we have those same amounts listed here that the employer is going to have to pull out of their pocket, in addition to the employee having paid those same amounts. Then the employer also has to calculate FUTA and SUTA. So here is our 480 is how much we calculated was taxable for FUTA and SUTA. We're going to multiply 480 times 0.008 to get the FUTA amount of $3.84. And we're going to multiply the $480 times the SUTA rate that you were given in the narrative, and that will give you $14.88 for the SUTA. Okay? Then we're going to add the Social Security and the Medicare that we're matching along with the FUTA and the SUTA, and getting a total employer cost of $78.39. We need to debit payroll tax expense and credit payroll tax payable for the $78.39. Please note that in 2012 there are different rates than what is on this payroll register. This whole point is for you to understand how to get the numbers that you need to put on your journal entry. Notice there are tabs along the bottom, and these tabs are for each of the other payroll dates, so that you can use the totals off of those for those journal entries. The other thing that you've been given is the check register. Every time you have cash, you have to put in an amount on the check register as well as the journal entry. Notice that this has a column for the check number if we're actually writing out a check. It has a column for the date, a column for the transaction description, and that is going to be saying who did we receive the money from if we're making a deposit, or who did we write the check out to if we're writing out a check. We start the first line with the beginning balance, and remember that we looked at the post-closing trial balance of October 31st, and that told us that there was $4,220 in the checking account to start the month off. So we have that beginning balance in here. On the 2nd of November, we did a pony party for Wendy Lane for $610, and she gave us the cash that day. And again, assume that all cash is deposited that same day. So on November 2nd, we deposited $600. So we put that in the deposit column, and that gets added, of course, to the $42.20 that we already had. Now we're depositing $610. So now our new running total balance in the checking account is $48.30. On the 3rd of November, we received a loan for $4,000 from the Small Business Administration. So that was also deposited into our checking account, and now we have $88.30. On the 6th of November, we wrote our first check, which was the payroll check to Sally Sinclair, and that was for her net pay of $275.05. And we put the check number in the check number column. And of course, since we're writing a check, we're going to have to subtract it from our previous balance. So we take the $88.30 minus the $275.05, and that gives us the $85.54.95 new running total balance. You will have to continue from here and put in Derek's and your payroll checks and any other deposits and checks written the rest of the month. The final balance at the bottom of your check register at the end of the month should end up equaling your cash account in your ledger, in your general ledger once you get done posting. So when you go to do your bank reconciliation, you're going to use this final total on the check register, and you'll also double check and make sure it equals the final total in your cash account, in your general ledger, and then you will use that total for your book side of your bank reconciliation. If you have any questions, be sure again to check with a tutor or myself. We'll be happy to explain these further for you. You need to hand me your completed check register when you give me your journal entries. This completes the instructions for Pony Rides to Go. If you have any questions, please come and ask.